This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Welcome to today's Talk Business and Politics. I'm Roby Brock, joined by John Brummett of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Always good to see you.
Happy Monday to you.
I noticed over the weekend, you maybe it was on Friday, you went to a Dale Bumpers estate sale. That's
incorrect information.
Is it really? When was it?
It was Friday, but I didn't go.
Oh,
it sort of came to me. No, I was out in the backyard. It was a fairly nice morning, and a neighbor, good neighbor up the street, who's a man about town, pulled up in the alley and yelled at me, and I went out to his pickup, and his cab was just covered in Dale Bumpers memorabilia. He had gone early, as is his wont, to the estate sale, and he just had posters and postcards and all books and all kinds of things, but he had 6 neckties. Yeah. And he said, "These are from the senator's collection, and pick one." And I picked this one.
The one you're wearing
right now? The one I'm wearing right now. This is Dale Bumpers' tie, because I'd seen him in it, and I had a strange, fleeting thought that this was the impeachment speech tie. It's similar, but it's not the one. But you can see online, this tie is very, very
Do you feel like you're
popular.
channeling a little bit of
I
Dale
do.
Bumpers
I feel a little
today?
more eloquent, and a little. I have an even snarkier sense of humor, which is hard to imagine, but I do. But I should say, for context, since you brought it up, the children of Dale and Betty have, as I understand it, a gymnasium full of things that they're saving, but there was still things. And so for charity, for a childhood immunization charity, they had this week-long estate sale. I didn't know about it. I had no intention in going. I did not go seeking this memorable necktie.
It found you.
But it showed up in my alley, and I said, "Yes, sir." Yes, sir.
Well, let's talk about some developments of the past week. It looks like President Donald Trump's acquittal is imminent.
It does.
A vote on Wednesday, since the vote for witnesses was down there. Mm-hmm. You were shocked?
Mm-hmm. No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How do you think this plays out politically beyond what happens on Wednesday with the acquittal? How do the Democrats use this as a weapon for politics? How do the Republicans use it?
There was a lead piece on the front page of the Sunday New York Times. It was labeled News Analysis. So it's got some thought, a personal essay thought, and Peter Baker wrote it, which basically said the old maxim is, if you're going to go after the king, you got to bring him down. And this is now twice. The Democrats with the Mueller report, and now this, and now Trump is allowed to say he's vindicated, exonerated, which he isn't, is allowed to say they're persecuting me, which they kind of are. You can make that case. And is going to combine, as the New York Times said, his victory lap and his re-election campaign. I just think that's the way it's going to play. This is not Monday morning quarterbacking. I said during the game, have Armed Services or Foreign Relations Committee do extensive hearings. If Bolton won't testify, if the White House people won't testify, answer subpoenas, take it to court, and take your time when you impeach a president. Don't rush it. And I think it was I think it's a net loser for the Democrats. And I know Bolton's book's going to come out and more information's going to come out, but I don't think they handled it exactly right, and the Senate Republicans get sort of a pass, I think. And right now, and then tonight in Iowa, I'm not to change subject.
Yeah.
They may.
I've got Iowa on my list of first to talk about.
Bernie Sanders, whom I personally, because I'm, of my generation, I don't see a socialist candidate beating Trump. So that's how I think the politics plays out. I mean, there are many things yet to come out. Here's how it turned out. The country says Trump did it. Trump is a wild man. Trump may be kind of nuts. Trump offends me. He did this, but this was no way to go about the impeachment. He didn't need to be run out of office over it, and the economy's good, and the Democrats seem to be desperate, and I'm not sure their presidential campaign is producing a better option than they had 4 years ago. That's how I see it.
Yeah, so let's talk about the Democratic presidential nomination. The Iowa caucuses are on Monday night. The big debate for the Democrats right now at the presidential level is, do you want to go wholesale change, kind of like the Republicans did with Trump? Let's bring in somebody to blow up the system. That's what you got with Bernie Sanders and a few others. Or do you want to go with something safe and establishment and predictable in Joe Biden and a couple others on that side? Where do you sense the Democratic Party is, or do you think we let these first four through Super Tuesday states play out and then we'll have an idea?
Well, I'd rather wait and see, let them play out before I make my assessment. But I will tell you this: there is a major generational and philosophical change affecting the Democratic Party. Polls in Iowa show that 40% of respondents in polls in Democrats under 50, and this is with a lot undecided, but 40% favor Sanders, 11 Elizabeth Warren, everybody else is in low single digits. It's young people. Mm-hmm. And just this morning on NPR, they're talking about how climate change and the Green New Deal, which I recoil against as a political tactic just because of my generation and the way I followed politics all my life. The Green New Deal is the major issue to these voters, and environment, climate change. So that's the big difference. The subtext is, yes, electability is of interest to everybody. And yes, electability to some of us means Biden, establishment. Don't invite any trouble, just run with the guy the polls show would be the most likely to beat Trump. The younger folks are saying, electability, we did that with Kerry, we did that with Hillary, we did that with this and this and that, and Gore, and they all lost. How about electability? How about a generational change? How about we go all in for these strong policy views? So that's it. And
generational change was a little bit of what Obama was about, though.
Yeah, it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was, and it didn't hold, did it? There was a sort of a recoiling against it for whatever reason, and no need to go into that. So yeah, I mean, we rerun some of the same themes, but what I'm saying is, when you talk to me about electability, I say, yeah, electability means Joe Biden or Bloomberg. If things really mess up, these first four, don't forget, he's there. To others, electability means stop losing with the same old thing. Let's go all in. And that's a major schism in Democratic Party thinking right now, and I think it's going to be reflected. I think we're going to come out of these first four with some split decisions.
Yep.
Okay.
I agree with you on that.
All right.
All right, Medicaid block grants. The Trump administration gives their blessing to it last week. Asa Hutchinson, one of the first ones to say out of the gate, Arkansas wants to take a look at this. And he has talked about this in the past.
Right.
What do you think are the upside and what is the dangers of Medicaid block grants?
The upside is in Arkansas and the governor, Hutchinson, we've still got to contend with the political acceptability of Medicaid expansion. I mean, that's just, I think it's sort of settled, but it's never fully settled. I mean,
you never know if that 75% vote's there.
It takes 3/4, and it's a moderate to left of center notion, even with the private option, that requires a supermajority, and this is a right-wing state with reflected in the legislature. So, you know, but the upside and the downside. The downside is, so the upside is it may give the governor some political help. The work requirement, push that, and then say the Trump administration is going to let us go with block grants, and we're not going to spend anymore. It's no longer going to be an open-ended entitlement. The downside is block grants are bad. I mean, this is health care for people who need it. Therefore, and if you incur the expense and you're legitimately eligible, the federal and state money covers it. A block grant means, hello, Arkansas, this is how much money you get, and so make it work, which sounds to conservatives like fiscal efficiency and fiscal responsibility. But what if you've budgeted, and what if your money's gone and more people need health care?
Yeah.
That's the issue with, now, to be clear, this Medicaid block grant is for able-bodied people on the medical side, mainly the private option or the Arkansas Works population, not disabled people, not elderly people in nursing homes. That remains an open-ended. So,
but what if there's a recession or an economic downturn is the argument, and all of a sudden you've got more people losing their health insurance?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, what if your business goes to heck and you wind up on Medicaid? That's not going to happen. But I mean, and you say, wait a minute, you hadn't budgeted for me. The block grant didn't expect this economic condition, this group of people. It's a classic philosophical argument. Let's make these programs more efficient. This is the amount of money it is, and you make it work. The downside is you're risking leaving some legitimate health needs and legitimate human needs unattended.
Yep.
And that's the age-old argument.
All right, lastly, this past week, Little Rock Mayor Frank Scott proposes a penny sales tax increase in his State of the City speech. I've heard pros and cons on it. I've heard some people react negatively to it. I've heard some people react positively to it. I won't ask you for your position on it, but it was a bit unexpected. I don't think anybody saw this coming. Maybe just capsulize, what do you think it is that he wants to accomplish, and how does this fit in to Frank Scott's transformation agenda?
Well, I sort of expected it because I'd written a column 2 days before, or the day before, 2 days before, in which I said he's all about grandiose pronouncement, and he backs up a lot of it, and I sort of expected. And then the night before, I saw a couple of city directors at an event, and they said, penny sales tax tomorrow, a big tax program. And they were saying, we were sort of thinking maybe it would just be a zoo tax or something easier to sell. This is bigger. And they had heard and had pretty good reason to believe he was going to propose that. It's the classic Frank Scott style and administration. He's in this thing to lead. He's in this thing to be bold. He's in this thing to have a vision. And that's what he's doing. And city directors who've been sort of in an executive business style governing for years, they're thinking, wow, it's going pretty fast, going pretty big. Is this what we need to do? It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But I'm telling you, Scott is a political talent. He expresses himself well. He has a strong base of support in the community, and he's not afraid to take a bold position. So it's an interesting time in Little Rock. I think he really believes that Little Rock can become a greater southern city and have a generational advancement. So interesting to watch. He's also proposing ordinances to change the form of government, as you know. So to give him more power to fire the city manager and the city attorney and have ward representation. Another big fight. He's closing things, he's doing budget cuts, he's getting involved in the school issue. It's high times for political activity in Little Rock.
Lots to watch.
You bet.
All right. He's John Brummett with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Good to
Thank
see
you.
you. All right. Thanks. That's all for today's Talk Business and Politics. I'm Roby Brock. We will see you next time.
You'll find us at the end of a lot of long country roads, covering over 60% of the great state of Arkansas. Our 17 electric distribution cooperatives are working day and night to provide reliable, affordable power to over 500,000 homes, farms, and businesses, just like yours. The Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas, your local energy partners.
Each day, the promise of our nation begins again. Arkansas and America, moving forward. I help make that promise a reality. It's not for everyone, but people everywhere depend on us.
Oh, I love you too, sweetie.
Trucking delivers, or everything stops. And that's what drives me.